Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how Kubernetes admission controllers actually work internally. Most engineers think these are just simple filters, but they are the most critical gatekeepers in your entire cluster. Without them, your security policies are effectively just suggestions, and one misconfigured deployment can expose your entire production environment to the public internet. Let me show you how to take control of what gets created in your cluster. Today, we are looking at the internal lifecycle of an API request. We will cover how the API server processes, validates, and mutates resources before they ever reach your etcd database. Specifically, we will explore the internal request lifecycle, the difference between mutating and validating webhooks, how the internal admission chain is ordered, and finally, how to build and debug your own custom webhook. Watch the full video without skipping any content to understand it better. Before we get into the topic, a small request to you. I have already uploaded many technical videos on different technologies and tools. We share more knowledgeable content every day. So if you are interested in learning and want to improve your skills, make sure you have subscribed to our channel and joined our WhatsApp community. The join link is available in the description or scan the QR code shown on the screen. Let us get started. So what happens when you run a command like kubectl apply? Many people think it goes straight from your terminal to the database. But there is a complex path. First, you are authenticated. Then, you are authorized. But even if you are allowed to make the request, the cluster still checks if the request itself is valid and safe. That final check is the admission control phase. If this phase fails, the request is rejected before it even touches the etcd database. What is an admission controller really? It is a piece of code that acts like a gatekeeper. It intercepts every single request to create, update, or delete resources. We divide these into two buckets. First, we have mutating controllers. These can actually change the request. For example, they might automatically inject a sidecar container or add labels. Second, we have validating controllers. These do not change anything. They just look at the request and say, yes, it is allowed, or no, it is blocked. It is exactly like a security checkpoint. Now that we understand the types, let us look at how they work internally. The order is critical. The API server runs all mutating controllers first. This is because the object might change. Once those changes are applied, the server performs a temporary save. Then, it runs the validating controllers. Why do we run validation last? Because we want to validate the final version of the object, including any modifications made by the mutating webhooks. This sequence ensures that you are not bypassing security policies by changing the object after validation. Let us look at a real configuration for a webhook. On lines 4 and 5, we give our webhook a name. Lines 6 through 10 define our rules. Here, we are saying we only care about the create operation for pods. If someone tries to update or delete a pod, this webhook is ignored. Lines 11 through 15 tell the API server where to send the request. We point it to a service named Webhook Server in the default namespace. This is where your custom logic lives. Here is what the backend code looks like. We receive an admission review object from the API server. We decode the JSON to get the pod data. In this logic, we are checking the container image. If the user tries to use the latest tag for nginx, we set allowed to false. This effectively blocks the deployment. The API server then uses this boolean to decide whether to accept or reject the request. So what happens when things go wrong? You will often see this connection refused error. This means the API server tried to reach your webhook service but could not connect. This usually happens because your webhook server is not running, or your network policy is blocking the traffic. It is the most common reason for deployment failures in clusters with custom webhooks. To fix this, start by checking the service. Does the service actually exist? Then verify that the pods backing your webhook server are actually running. If they are crashing, check the logs as shown on screen. Often, a missing environment variable or a misconfigured port causes the server to crash immediately on startup, leading to these timeouts. Let me give you a real-world example. A global logistics provider was struggling with security. Their developers were constantly running containers as the root user, which is a major security risk. They could not manually audit every single deployment. So, they built a validating webhook. It automatically checked every pod spec for a non-root security context. If it was missing, the webhook rejected the pod. Within 1 month, they saw a 98% decrease in unauthorized container escapes. This is the power of automation. So when should you use these? Use webhooks to enforce security policies like ensuring containers are not running as root or requiring resource limits. Use them for injecting default labels or sidecars. But do not use them for heavy compute tasks. They add latency to every API call. Also, avoid using them for cross-resource dependencies. If your webhook relies on the state of another resource, you might run into race conditions that are nearly impossible to debug. Use these criteria to decide if this tool is right for your situation. We have covered a lot today. Admission controllers are your clusters. Final gatekeeper. Remember that mutating webhooks change objects, while validating ones are for blocking access. The API server must run mutating controllers before validating ones to ensure the final object is checked. Keep an eye on your webhook latency, because if they are slow, your entire API server becomes slow. Finally, always use local service endpoints to keep traffic within the cluster. You now have the knowledge to secure your cluster effectively. I believe this video will definitely be a useful video. If you liked the video, please do like and hype the video. Also share it with your friends and groups. It may be useful to somebody else. If you have any doubts or any requests, please let me know in the comments. Make sure you have subscribed to stay updated for our regular videos. Join our WhatsApp community using the link in the description because we share more knowledgeable content every day. Thank you for watching. See you soon in the next video.